Hello, my name is Diana Castro and you're watching Leaders with a Mission. And today I have someone really special that if you've ever been told that you will not have a family with your babies, you should meet her. Her name is Dr. Jeanette, and let me tell you a little bit about her. Dr. Jeanette is a fertility strategist with a doctorate degree in psychology. She is a wealth of information and practical resources for families that are looking to have a baby but have been told that they have missed their chance. And with you, Dr. Jeanette.
Hello, Diana.
Hello, Doc. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So let's just back up where we met. We actually met at a seminar with Lucky Bitch, right?
Yes.
And I went on stage and I said some things to ask her something. I don't really remember. But then at the end, we kind of connected. And from there, we established to start creating videos, and we actually had the opportunity to create a series of videos with you. And I'm just really happy that I got to meet you because I know that you're making such a big difference for a lot of people that need specifically for that special gift that you have. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how this whole story of Fertility Strategist came to be?
I was 33 years old and I had about 2 years to finish my doctorate, and I was told that if I don't get pregnant now, I may not have a baby with my own eggs. And so that was really shocking to me, because at that time I never thought that at 33 I would be taking a chance of possibly not having a baby, and I considered myself a smart woman, but it just came as a surprise. So I went through IVF and ended up having a beautiful boy and a girl twins. That's really the beginning of the journey. It was the journey. That had the beginning, the middle, and the end. And somewhere in the middle, also, having babies early. That was another experience that deeply impacted me, and I wanted to be able to help those parents that are going through similar things, whether that be being told that you cannot have baby, or you cannot conceive your baby naturally, or you're expecting multiples, or you have to use an egg donor or sperm donor, and do you tell your children? These are questions that many people have, and in the past oftentimes people would think that this is something that we have to keep secret, but nowadays it's not that difficult for the person to discover that actually what they had thought for years was their father or mother, genetically they're not related, and that can feel like a huge betrayal.
Tell me a little bit about what inspires you to work in the fertility as a fertility strategist. What really, fills your heart? Because I know that this has come really deep within your heart as you kind of went through this journey, because you had to go through the experience on your own. Mm-hmm. And you know how debilitating that could be to the soul. And not only that, through the videos that we created together, I learned so much about there's so much that people don't know. Mm-hmm. And that could paralyze someone from really having an opportunity to grow their family. So what inspires you? What really brings joy to you from doing the work that you do?
What inspires me is knowing that I can passionately transform their lives and get them from feeling hopeless or lost or incredibly sad to getting that dream of having their baby, creating their family.
And one of the things that I loved in the conversations that we were having when we were creating the videos was that nowadays there's so many different options that you're not stuck with, limited possibilities. Mm-hmm. What do you have to say to a parent that probably has tried to become pregnant for a certain amount of time? What would be your advice to them? How should they approach this?
I think that knowledge is power, and oftentimes because they don't know, that's when they stop at a certain point, and it takes a long time to get to a point where they actually seek specialists. The idea is to really be open to seek professionals that can help them. And one of them is obviously it's not just going to their gynecologist, but going also straight to the reproductive endocrinologist, the fertility specialist that specializes just on that, right? Because that doctor can recommend things or run certain tests that maybe in the office with the gynecologist it wouldn't happen, right? So creating that shortcut, right? Not waiting too long. And the other is, sometimes people are so set into, well, let's have a baby and let's save up the money for going through in vitro. But what they are missing is having that support and having a person that is guiding them, that is coaching them, that is helping them through that process. Well, we know now, for example, that trauma, or we can call it trauma, we can call it stress, right? It impacts us, right? So how important it is to have someone who can support you when you're going through that process, or even before you get to that process, so you can keep this healthy mindset that will get you there, right? And the other thing that we know is that even in utero, once you get there, let's say you get to be pregnant, you're expecting that baby, but you're still worried about so many things, because maybe you have been trying, I don't know, for 6 years, right? And now finally you're pregnant, and all the time you worry about what's going to happen to my baby. Well, this is affecting your baby directly, right? Yeah. The brain is developing from the very beginning, from the brainstem up. And there's each phase in utero where, depending on where you are and how stressed you are, you can be directly affecting that baby and how this baby or this child is going to be. So why not to change that from the beginning and create healthy minds for the adult and their baby?
Beautiful. So I wanted to ask you, because I think you do this really well, which is that I feel like you have stepped into a position of leadership, because there's not a lot of people that are offering this fertility strategist system that will take people from point A to point A, B, C, and D through the whole spectrum of what possibilities are, so they go empowered to make a decision for them. Mm-hmm. What is your personal definition of leadership?
My personal definition would be passionately transforming people's lives, so they get to realize and they get to have what they always wanted, and they can break through their fears and have their life and have their dreams come true.
And one of the things we talked about that I was like, we have to talk about this in Leaders with a Mission. And it was a controversial topic between you and I, that I was kind of like, what do you mean you can change the sex of a baby?
Selects the sex.
How can you select? Like, we're playing God. This is wrong. And you're like, well, and you're putting like a different spin on things that I've not considered in the past. So what is your opinion about that? Because that's something fascinating. This topic lives for so many interesting conversations that, I would love to talk about it here, but we have limited time. So what is your opinion about that?
So, that's really part of the work that I do, because you can come to me and you can see just a black and white box, and I can get you to see stars around it and know that you have possibilities. And so I remember that conversation that we had, and I said, it's really not necessarily about, deciding whether you're a god or not, but number one, a long time ago, basically people didn't have technology, they didn't have artificial insemination, they didn't have any of that, right? So did that mean that God was punishing them and they could never have a baby? And then in 1975, that was the first baby that was born through in vitro, right? Was there something wrong with it? Or are we super excited about it, right? That now we can have that. Now with the gender selection, I think what we were talking about, and how you changed your mind somewhat when I said, if we go back and we picture a situation in China when they could not have more than one baby, right? And majority of the couples decided, for the reason being that the man could support the family, right, and continue with the name and everything, right? So they wanted to have a boy, and then if they didn't have a boy, there were a lot of children that were lucky and they were adopted, but there were a lot of little girls that were killed, right?
Yeah,
so
sadly,
if you can choose to have a gender selection and have one boy, or choose to have 3 girls and have them be adopted if they're lucky, or have them killed, which one would you choose?
Yeah.
The gender selection would be a much better option, right?
Yeah. No, it's so debatable. And that's the beauty of it. I feel like in this kind of conversations, there's really, the way I want to perceive them is that there's not really right or wrong. There's just a different point of view and perspective. And for some people, that might be the best option. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it might not even be a consideration. But it's just beautiful to be able to have that opportunity. And I think that it's just another thing that you mentioned, there's just all this array of possibilities, and the technology is there, and we can make happy families. And that's kind of like what I know is in your heart. So I want to ask you, what kind of legacy do you want to leave in the world? What do you want people to remember you by?
Well, I want, healthy babies, healthy children, healthy adults, and brilliant brains around, right? So if we work on it from the beginning, then we can make a huge impact on the world, and we can have leaders all around, right? Because if we're not healthy, we cannot be leaders.
That is so beautiful. Thank you.
People knowing that even when it seems that there's no possibility, if they find someone that can guide them through it, then they can find out that the possibilities are actually endless.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for trusting in the gift that you're given. Thank you for actually taking a step forward and creating this path for people who so need it. Like, gay couples need assistance on this, and families who've been trying to get a family for a very long time. And, it's just the work that you do brings so much joy to the world, and I feel like we need more people that do that in the world. So thank you so much for that. And before I actually close the video, I want to mention something that I think will shock a lot of people. You're like a box of surprises, like box of chocolates. One of the things people will never think of is that you actually speak Spanish.
Sí, yo hablo español.
I love it. Because I remember the first time I heard you, I was like, oh my God, she speaks Spanish. Holy guacamole. So that's so beautiful, because you can help people no matter what. Like, especially here in Florida, where we have a really big Latino population, you can actually reach out to them. So if you want to talk to her and you speak Spanish, you can totally talk to her. So before we close, Doc, where can people find you? Where can they find, your program? Where can they contact you?
It's on www.fertilitystrategyformula.com.
Perfect. I love that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing so much joy to the world. And now let me talk to you. If you have a business and you would like to position your business as a leader in the industry, I'm going to invite you to visit us at forproductions.com, where if you subscribe, you'll receive a weekly video on how to make a bigger impact with the use of video. Until next time.